Hey everyone, welcome back to an episode of A Case of Distrust. In order to find Green's killer, I had to prove that somebody had the means, the motivation, and the opportunity for murder. Anyone connected to the case was a possible suspect. I turned back to the entrance in search of more information. Okay, I have to check my notes here real quick. Let's see. Yep, need to prove those things. We figured out, here we go. So, Connor Green got killed. Mrs. Green. So, racetrack pistol could have killed Green. That gave him access to a possible murder weapon. Oh, no, I still want to look at my notes. Let's see. Green died at midnight, was killed with a .45, was found close to the tin cup. Nobody left through the pool. Okay. So let's see where we can go from here. Let's see. The barber shop where the jazz singer is. Tin Spoon Lounge where we can find the singer. Green's house where you can find his wife. Or the racetrack where we just came from. Let us go to Southern Coffee and see if there's anything going on there. Let's see what the taxi cab driver has to say. The driver began talking baseball. You know he started. My bet is on the seal that the Seals could play in the majors. His voice had a high pitch and was just nasally enough to be irritating. Between Shea, Geary, and McWeeny, we've got enough guys who know how to hurl the ball, and our middle order of Weiner, Walsh, and Montague is unstoppable. Sure, we'd need better fielding, but there's no reason we can't snag a glove from out east. Hell, we can pay better than half those teams anyhow. Of course, those owners say their teams would mop the floor with us, but they're just scared at a competitive coast. Only want the profits to stay with their own cronies. But imagine their faces when we beat them in their own parks. What I'd give to see something like that. And you know, Art Griggs is rumored to be coming from the Angels. I just think it's unfair what we do to this league. Let him play with the big boys, I say. So he's just going to keep talking. He droned about the Seals for what felt like an eternity. My eyes glazed over and I was nearly asleep when he finally shouted, "We're here." That's funny, that's the first taxi driver that we've talked to that just keeps talking, no matter what. What's this? A yellow newspaper was flopped on the counter. It was the sports section dated June 1st, 1887. It read, Browns continue dominant play, ending May with a 21-2 record after Herculean 2 games thrown on the same day by pitcher Conway. Let's see. Let's just talk to Frankie. Hey, Frankie. I sat down at the bar and summarized my night from Frankie, including what Shipman had told me this morning. Frankie's eyebrows raised in shock throughout the story. He was attentive and asked many questions. He shook his head in disbelief as I finished with the story. This is some case, so you think you'll go through with it? I told him I thought I would. He said, I don't know, Malone. These Egan's rats sound dangerous. You sure you know what you're doing? I answered with a stern look. Well, alright, let me know if there's anything I can help with. Let's see. What do you think about this pistol? Okay. I don't know if there's anything here that's gonna... Yeah, okay. I don't know how he's going to be able to help, to tell you the truth. I know they said that if you're at a pinch, he can... he'll give you some hints, but... yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Let's go back to Let's go back to Green's house. Let's see. We know that she wasn't... Let's see. What is it that we know? Gun Box's betting house. What did he tell us? I mean, we found the gun. It was thrown away. Let's see. Let's go back to that Ray Carter. Let's talk to him. He's at the barber shop. See if anything that Stable told us was not on the level. Hey, man. I'm not gonna accuse him. Jeez. They are quick on letting you accuse people of stuff. Let's see. I showed him something in my book, but he gave me nothing of note from the resulting conversation. So... Okay. Oh, here's my case summary. In order to find Green's killer, I had to prove that somebody had the means, the motivation, and the opportunity to murder anyone connected to the case as a possible suspect. Paul was absent from the Tin Spoon Lounge, and I had yet to find him. I considered if Ella Smith, we could go back and talk to her, one of the lounge's backing singers might know Paul's whereabouts, though I had yet to get any information from her. Because of her proximity to Green's death, she was also a suspect. Yeah, we found out that Ella is closer to Paul than she let on. So let's go talk to her. That's what I want to do. Maybe she'll admit to knowing where he is. And we'll talk to another taxi cab driver later. Okay. So we know that you are closer to... Now, how did I find that out? Mrs. Green told us that? There we go. Ray Carter tells me that you and Tiny Paul are close. Is that true, Miss Smith? She squinted at me hotly, then let out a sigh. Okay, he's right. I'm in love with Paul. That's no crime. It was obvious that she wanted to hide the relationship. If the two of them ever broke it off, her career would be doomed. I empathized with her. The heart never plays fair. This won't get you out on my account, I promised, but you have to tell me about Tiny Paul's whereabouts. She sighed and gave me the address of a Pacific Heights apartment building. He lives in a penthouse on the top floor. Just don't tell him I told you. I thanked her for Paul's address and changed the subject. Okay. Okay, Tiny Paul's apartments. Now let's talk to this taxi driver. We began talking about his home state of Colorado. Lovely land, he said, truly blessed with clean air and wildflowers. I asked why he'd left. The people is mostly fine, It's the politics that are rotten. See, I married an Irish Catholic. Now most folks are backwards on that, but at least out here they keep it to themselves. That clan is seeped right into the core of that beautiful state. And now the Klan are starting to think national. They're anti-black, anti-Jew, anti-Catholic, anti-Mason, anti-you name it. He shook his head. A day of reckoning is coming for the KKK and our politics. I just hope sanity wins. I hope so too, I said. I came to my destination and I stepped out of the taxicab. Paul's building was still new, built only a few years earlier, but it was already a beacon of Pacific Heights, tall and proud above its surroundings. Its crisp vanilla interior was accented with gold, and its elevator was run by an equally immaculate operator. I rode it to the top floor bungalow that belonged to Tiny Paul. Wow, he looks like he's taking it easy. Paul's home was extravagant. Every item adorning the apartment was of high quality, but there was an evident lack of finesse to their combination, as though Paul had simply purchased expensive accoutrements without any thought for design. A hat hung from the rack nailed to the back wall, as did an empty gun holster. Ooh. Let's see. Paul's light brown shoes were discarded beside the couch he lay on. A wrapped bouquet of flowers lay on the table. They were a vibrant yellow. They reminded me of the flowers I'd seen earlier, but I couldn't place them at the moment. That's from Mrs. Green. A cluster of brown glass bottles were on the far table. They were empty. The couch and chairs had patterned olive-colored cushions. Their arms and legs were a gaudy shade of gold, matching the gold of the tables. Tiny Paul was sprawled across his Chesterfield, smelling of rubbing alcohol. I said hello. It took a century, but his eyes eventually climbed to meet mine, and he slurred a greeting. I figured drunk Tiny Paul could be more honest. I thought it was a good time to grill him. So let's ask him. Let's see. Wilting plant. Yep, a wilting plant was on the furthest table from the door. I could never keep plants alive either. Even as the petals fell, they were still a vibrant yellow. They reminded me of flowers I'd seen before, but I couldn't place them at the moment. I know a girl likes flowers like the ones on your table, I said to him. Called green, but she likes yellow flowers. How do you figure that? I don't think he liked the way that I figured. He stared at me, eyes ablaze. That told me all I needed. Tiny Paul was a Fanny Green admirer. What are you saying, Malone? Just asking questions, I said to him. A detective has to cover all our leads. Paul took a heavy sigh, but in his drunken state he didn't do much more. That's good to know. Let's see. What do we got here? Password. Ask about the wine. You know Green's supply was baloney, I said. He nodded. So you know the game. You did too, I replied, surprise evident in my voice. Early this morning, I went to, well, you don't need to know where. Even inebriated, Tiny Paul knew enough to not give away his family secrets. Anyhow, it's enough to tell you this. Green was pulling the bait and switch. He wanted to take our money and get out of the city. He had no plan to sell us any of his stuff. So yeah, I'm glad he got what was coming to him, but no, he extended the last letter. I'm not the one that plugged him. As much as Paul claimed not to be responsible, I wondered how much I could trust the word of a gangster. At least in his drunken speech, had given me a possible motive. What about... I told Paul about the extra ace I had seen on his billiards table. He blew air strongly through his nostrils. Another thing to deal with tomorrow. Swell. I went to the 10 Spoon and you weren't there, I said to Paul, so you decided to pester me here, he sighed. Let's see. Let's ask him about the flowers. I noticed the flowers on your ottoman, vibrant yellow, though I didn't peg you as a tulip kind of gal. Well, you hardly got to know me. Who they fall for, Paul? My mother, he said with finality. Tiny Paul didn't strike me as a man who would buy a dozen flowers for his mother. He wouldn't tell me who the flowers were for, but I let it go just then. How about the holster? Pointed at the empty holster in the room. That strap just told your slingshot. Paul's deep breath carried more booze than a bootlegger's truck. All right, Malone. I do carry a gun, but you're barking up the wrong tree. Lay off if you know what's good for you. You don't even know what my gun looks like. Let's see. Let's ask him about the gun we found. Maybe. I described the gun I found and how it matched the type gangsters were known to carry. And I don't see your gun around here, I ended. His jaw stiffened. I keep my gun in that holster, and when I'm not at home, that holster stays on my person or in my jacket. So where is it now, Paul? What if I told you I lost it yesterday? How could you disprove that? A weak story, Paul. Weak or not, it's what I'm telling you. What are you going to do about it? Just asking questions. Okay. Let's see. Asked Paul about the empty bottles strewn about his apartment. Man drinking himself into a stupor is no crime, or is it, Miss Detective? I said it wasn't. Yeah, I didn't figure he would, but you never know. Let's... Yep. Okay. So let's ask him about... tickets to St. Louis. Green had tickets to leave for St. Louis, I told Paul. He nodded. I suppose that's where he was heading after blowing out of this burg. Okay, let's see. Mrs. Green, following her husband. Okay. Someone close could snag his gun. Paul's gun is missing. He's an admirer of Mrs. Green. I pressed Paul further on what he'd already told me, but got nothing useful from it. He let out a blustered sigh. Will there be anything else, detective? Yeah. Well, let's see. Okay, so either he's got running out of stuff, or Alice Smith. Okay, here we go. Alice Smith tells me little Fanny was absent from the billiards room at midnight, I told him. So, he asked impatiently. So was she? Malone, when I've got my head down in a poker game, the building could burn to the ground and I wouldn't notice. I know she came with us, and I walked her to a cab when we left. Otherwise, I don't know who was in or out of the billiards room. Let's see. Alice Smith tells me that you two are lovers. He let out a low grumble. Smith was beautiful, but she was Chinese, and Paul wouldn't sit well if the rumors swirled about the two of them. Paul, is she lying to me? No. It's just petting between us, nothing more. I thought you were seeing Mrs. Connor Green. I'm not married, he said, with a sharpness to his words. I can do as I damn please, and those women are both emancipated, right? I said all right and dropped it. Okay. Police say that Green was a ghost in San Francisco before 1920. Now he's a ghost here. What do you want me to say about it, Malone? Green was killed around midnight. Do you remember anything around then? After the jazz stopped playing at 10, I went up to the pool room to shoot. I think the whole band came in. We played cards until early in the morning. So you were in the Tin Spoon all night? After 10, he nodded, though I did leave before then. I met with Redstone Stable at 9 o'clock, and then around 5 in the morning. It didn't seem like he'd slept much. Oh, okay. I met with Stable, why? I ain't telling you that, sister. Then why should I believe you at all? Believe what you want. I was in the pool hall when Green was shot. I didn't challenge him on that point, because I've got no evidence that says otherwise. Green was killed with a .45. I told Paul that Green had been killed with a large automatic. He replied sardonically, "What is our country coming to? So many people owning firearms. Tisk tisk." Green was killed around midnight. Do you remember anything from then? I told you I was playing cards upstairs from 10 o'clock until early in the morning. I don't think I have any evidence that contradicts that. Even the guys that don't like him said different. Like Ray Carter, I don't think... Yeah, I don't have anything to contradict that with. Okay, let's see. Just do another quick check. I'm not sure if I've actually asked everything. Green died at midnight, was killed with a .45, was found close to the tin cup. I don't know if I asked everybody those things. Green was killed around midnight. Do you remember anything from then? I told him, yeah, okay. Okay. And I don't think there's anything else to look at. So let's go. Who do we find out about? Stable. Well, that's not. So we found out one bit of information, but let's go ahead and ask him all of these things too. I told him that Connor Green was found near the Tin Spoon, the coroner reporting his time of death around midnight. As I said, Miss Malone, I was alone. I was home asleep at that time. Oh, actually, wait. No, that is what I was supposed to accuse him about. Let's do that again. Contradict. Green said... Not Green. Tiny Paul. According to Tiny Paul, Redstone's stable hadn't slept from when they met at 9 p.m. last night to their meeting at 5 a.m. in the morning. Tiny Paul tells me that you met last night, and then you met early again this morning. He said you look ragged. Not much sleep then? Very well, he sighed. I do admit that I spent yesterday searching for information on this case, and that perhaps the search bled into this morning. In my situation, would you not also look for clues against Green, the man who accused you of blackmail? I must have beamed at him now that I knew, now with the knowledge that Stable had no alibi the previous night. However, in my search to clear my name, I did find a fact that might interest you, a fact that I had kept to myself, but if Paul wishes to lay claims at my feet, I might as well tell you. The Tin Spoon had a back exit. Patrons likely have no suspicion of it, but I'm certain that many of the staff know. They could enter and leave without anyone noticing. And how do you know this? Never mind how I came about this information. Just be thankful for that I'm giving it to you. If you do not believe me, I encourage you to ask others about it. This was a peculiar development. Okay. So let us first go. Let's go talk to the person that's got the least reason to kill Green. So I'll go talk to Ray Carter. It's nice that everybody is, while I'm driving all around town, everybody's staying exactly where they were. So Ray's been spending a lot of time sitting in this barber chair. He doesn't even have a newspaper. Maybe I should get him one. He smiled at me. I wasn't sure if he was happy to see me or just happy to talk to somebody. Let's ask him about... Tin Spoon has a back exit. I have a source that tells me there's a back exit to the Tin Spoon. Know anything about it? Back exit? No, I'm sorry. I've never heard such a thing. Okay. Are there any other notes I got that I could corroborate with him? Tiny Paul. I could ask him about this stuff. Let's try. He probably doesn't know anything about it, but you never know. Yep, didn't think he would. Yep, didn't think he'd know about that. He doesn't know about that either. Let's see. Fanny? Fanny wasn't at the pool hall? Yeah, he doesn't remember. So let's go back to Green's house. Mrs. Green was waiting at home for information about her husband's death. I could talk to her or search the place for clues. I should probably take one more look around and make sure that I'm not missing anything clue-wise. There's a man's hat hanging on the rack. Mostly empty. Train tickets. Flowers. Ashtray. Okay. Mrs. Green was seated in her chair, considerably more awake than the previous day. Miss Malone, have you found anything about my husband's killer? Okay, so... let us... I don't think I found any more evidence. Or have I? Yep. Well, actually, wait. Let's go ask about the flowers we found at Paul's apartment. I had a few sources connecting you with Tiny Paul. Mrs. Green, is he your lover? Her face turned crimson. She denied my claims with just about every word in the thesaurus, but that face had told me enough. Her and Tiny Paul were having an affair, which could give her enough motive to kill her husband. Okay. Let's see. Tin Spoon had a back exit. I hear rumors the Tin Spoon might have a back exit. I haven't heard those rumors. Let's see. Tiny Paul's gun is missing, and he says only someone close to him could grab it. What are you implying, Miss Malone? Just anybody in the billiards room could have taken his gun and you were close to Tiny Paul, so I'm sure he wouldn't mind if you had taken it. She didn't like that conclusion, but it fit that she had access to the murder weapon. Oh. Okay. So are we actually... okay. Let's see what else. Did you know that... Let's see, Tiny Paul is having an affair with Ella Smith. I told Mrs. Green that I suspected Tiny Paul and Ella Smith of being lovers. She gave a simple shrug, her face devoid of any emotion. Okay. She either knows or she's good at not caring. Let's see. Ella flings herself at Tiny Paul. Nope. Let's see. Green died at midnight. So we're going to contradict that by saying we know that there's a back exit. What does that have to do with last night? She was right, it didn't. I was in the pool room the whole last night. Oh. Well, if it had a back exit, then it's possible the doorman wouldn't have seen her. That totally makes sense to me. Killed with, let's see. I still don't see why that's not, why the fact that there's a back exit, doesn't have anything to do with, her being able to slip out, but let's ask her about the gun, I guess. Yeah, okay. She's not going to tell me anything else. Okay, so we still have a little bit more to dig up. We need to go and like check all these people's answers against each other, but I think we're going to have to do that next time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care.